Hi everyone, I'm Lisa Walton and welcome to Quilt Stories. Today I'm very thrilled to be talking to Katie Pasquini Masopust, who has been one of my idols for so long. I've been looking at her work and admiring it forever, and I haven't been able to do any of her classes, so today I'm hoping to pick up a few hints because I've just loved her work. So welcome, Katie.
Thank you. I'm honored to be here. This is very exciting.
It is. It's not exciting, but it's an interesting experience doing this sort of thing in this terrible COVID time, but it's a great opportunity to chat. Today we're looking at a quilt called Concertina, which is one of a series that Katie is doing. And because she didn't have lots of photos of the process, we're just going to steal some from other quilts that she's been making, and you'll get the idea. So here we have Katie sitting at her machine and the beautiful finished quilt, which is one in the series. How many in the series, Katie?
So far, I'm working on the third one now.
I can see the quilting, the detail in the quilting is lovely. I love all that free motion quilting.
Oh, I love doing that. Yes.
It's so freeing, isn't it?
Yeah.
Not following any rules, just doing your own thing. Okay.
Just drawing all over the surface with the sewing machine.
So here you are in part of your studio, I would think, with a nice view out the window. And can you tell me a little bit about the painting that you're doing?
Okay, so I paint on canvas, and I start with the canvas being very thin canvas, and I treat it with GAC 100, which sort of seals it. I can't use gesso or anything thick because eventually I want to sew over the canvas. So I keep it real thin, and I paint 4 or 5 different canvases, different color schemes, different kinds of marks, and then do different layers. Sometimes I add some fabric to it, little bits of black and white graphics, and then paint again. So there's usually about 4 layers of paint. So visually it looks thick, but it's really very thin paint. I use flow release to keep the paint really thin. Mm-hmm. And so that then I cut these different canvases up as if they're just regular fabric, and then do a zigzag stitch to hold them together. So it stays one layer.
I'm now going to show some of the beautiful paintings.
Yeah, so I kind of go with a ombre look from light to dark so that I can cut up different parts of the paintings to get different values when I start making the construction. Mm-hmm. So I first put down a ground from light to dark, and then a series of marks. In this case, it's just straight lines to sort of make a grid. And then I cut out black and white fabrics. I'm always shopping and looking for fun black and white graphics. And so I cut those up and put them down, attaching them with GAC 100, which sort of adheres them to the surface. And then when that's dry, then I put another layer of marks that cross the fabric. So it sort of sets the fabric down into the painting. So it's not really a painting like a portrait or a landscape. It's just sort of marks that I'll get to cut up and put back together.
So here's more black and white fabric.
Yeah, little checkerboard in there. So I think I did 4 paintings for this particular piece. And so I just picked a color scheme. Yep, beautiful blue one. Beautiful magenta with stripes, and cutting fabrics that give me this great repeat patterning that goes along with it.
So here is a resulting piece. I can see that the center circle is not stitched down yet, but these are all from your canvas.
From those canvases. And then I had another one, you can see the very light. So I did a canvas that was very light for sort of the background. And so then I cut them up and play around with different forms. I think I did 2 completed constructions and then chose this one. Yes, this was the other one I played with. To me, when I got that one done, I didn't like the composition. It was just too busy. The other one was more calming.
The next quilt that you're working on, but just to see the effect of cutting out the fabrics and stitching them down with zigzag. So we're still working with the canvas.
Yep, this is the third one in the series that I'm just starting to work on, and cutting it up. You can see that I zigzag it down with black thread. I like the look of the black thread against the colors. It just sort of frames each little piece nicely. And so here, this is where the acetate, I lay the acetate, a large sheet of acetate, matte acetate, on the top of it. And first I draw the construction lines, basically, of all these little blocks of painted canvas that I'm going to translate it into blocks of fabric. So I do corrections. Like you can see the big triangle on the right. I wanted it to be a little bigger. So I just made it a little bigger, and I'll just draw it to be larger rather than have to recut and repaint everything.
Yep.
So then I get to, that's sort of like the structure of it.
How big are these pieces?
This is probably, you can see from the mat, it's probably about 24 by 18, 20 inches across.
Okay.
So almost the size of a big mat, actually.
Yes. But this is still not the quilt though, is it? This is still your...
No, the quilt will then be twice as big as this. I take it to a blueprint shop once the drawing's finished, and they enlarge it for me, and then that becomes my templates. So here you can see I'm making some corrections. I'm not drawing my line exactly because I wanted it to be a little more skewed, and here I've added the 1/2 inch to that big triangle. And then when I feel that I'm pretty strong and happy with the way those are coming together, then I take a fine Pigma pen and draw all the brush strokes. So I just sort of trace around the shapes. Here you can see I've started doing that. And I just love doing this part. I just love sitting and drawing around the paint marks and making this cartoon, so to speak, that I just envision all the different bits of fabric I get to play with to fill in. Kind of a paint by number, actually.
it is a little bit. When I first started looking at these, I couldn't quite work out what you were doing, but you've since told me that your original painted canvas is just really the basis. You're now going to recreate that using normal commercial fabrics, not fabrics that you've painted yourself, which is really fascinating. So you now start to match them up.
Right. So there's the completed drawing, and then I put a big piece of white paper on the back of it and take it to the print shop, and so that they can make a copy of it. So it's a rather large thing that comes back, 40 something inches. I take that line drawing enlargement. I have them make 3 or 4 of them for me.
Yeah.
And then I use spray glue and poster board and spray it to that. So I have a thickness, because I turn all of my edges of my fabric. So yes, I don't use raw edge. So I will cut these, cut the little shape out. So if you see a circle there, cut out the circle, mark it on the fabric, and then there you can see I take, and then with spray starch and a hot iron, I turn the edge over this cardboard template as I cut it out. And then I glue it down to the foundation fabric for each of the little blocks. And then I'll take a zigzag monofilament thread and zigzag, invisible zigzag, I'll sort of applique the pieces down. And then I'll move on to the next unit and do the same thing, and then piece those together along the line. And then you tear, I have Sulky Totally Stable that I use as a foundation. I draw all the design onto that, so I know where to put all these pieces. And then that gets torn off, and then I have my quilt top, and then I'll quilt it.
Wow.
So I did say that I turn all my edges, but you see the little gray dots and the white dots?
Yes.
When they're too small to turn, I use Ultra Suede, because Ultra Suede has a thickness, so it looks as if it's a turned edge, and it doesn't ravel or fray, so I don't have to worry about little threads hanging everywhere. And so I use Ultra Suede for tiny little circles and things. But everything else is turned edge.
All the fabric that you are matching to your painting, you've obviously got a ginormous stash.
I do.
Yeah. I find that fascinating, that you created a painting and then you match it up with fabric. I think that's quite astounding, putting them together.
It does take a while. I find it very soothing. You know, I listen to music, and it's just soothing to get, because it's kind of messy when you're cutting everything out, but then you turn the edges and it looks just really clean. My fabrics, I tend to buy fabrics that read as one color. So not big wild prints and things, because I'm sort of making big wild prints out of these more subdued fabrics.
So this is the finished concertina quilt with all your little bits and pieces that you have put down individually and turned edges. I'm very impressed with that. And then quilted. You have more patience than I do. Here is detail of it.
Yeah,
So,
my favorite part is when it's all done, all of your artistic choices have been made, and you just get to free motion quilt over the surface. And it's just sort of like if you were painting and you added a little pen and ink drawing to the top. That's how I kind of liken this, that I'm just drawing all over the surface to give texture and movement and kind of bind everything together.
And you work in series?
I've always worked in series. I find it a really satisfying way to explore ideas. And, you know, my first series was on mandalas, so a way of drafting. I've done 3-dimensional design, fractured landscapes. And so I'd get an idea and I just stick with that for, you know, sometimes it takes a couple years to explore the whole thing. And then I get kind of like, okay, I think I've figured out anything I can come up with new in this idea. And then kind of take a few days off, go around taking photographs or painting. And so like this new series that we're talking about here is based on painting the different canvases, cutting them up and making the composition, and then translating that into fabric. And that's really, I feel like I'm in the best series ever right now, because I get to paint and then I get to quilt. And, you know, one half of my studio is the wet studio where I've all set up for painting. You showed a picture of that earlier. Yeah. And the other half, which is basically another room on the top floor, is all dry studio where all my fabric is and my sewing machines and my big cutting table. So I'm just very blessed and very lucky girl.
Indeed you are. And you've been doing it for a long time and inspiring thousands of students, I would think, over those years.
Okay, so half of my studio is the wet studio where I paint. And this is all on the second floor of my home. So there's 2 big rooms up there. One of them is the guest room and the paint studio, and the other one's my fabric studio. And there's a very messy picture of my fabric stash. I think that's very well organized. It's all sorted by color and then by value, 7 value steps from very light to very dark. And one Thanksgiving, I always have Thanksgiving with my cousin and her daughter. And her daughter, Kristen, is a Marie Kondo organizer.
Oh.
And her mom was going to make her a quilt for a girlfriend who was having a baby. And so she asked Kristen to come up and look through my fabric to get ideas for colors. And Kristen came down and she was just white as a ghost. She couldn't, how can you even work in that mess up there? And I was like, well, everything's in order. So she came back a couple of weeks later and spent a week with me. And we Marie Kondoed all of my fabric, folded everything into these neat little compact units and put them in the drawers. And you can see how beautiful it is after. It looks like candy. You could open up any of those drawers and they look like little yummy candy. And so it took forever to fold all that fabric perfectly. At first she asked me, can we throw some of this out? And I was like, oh no, you can't throw anything out. After you try to fold some of these weird bits of fabric that you have left in your stash, it's sort of like, okay, we could throw that one out. It's just too hard to fold. So we got it all organized, and it will stay that way because I don't ever want to have to fold all that fabric again. So at the end of each project, I neatly fold it back up and put it back into the drawer.
Well, I'm astounded at that. Marie Kondo terrifies me when I watch some of those things happening.
I was pretty terrified for a while, but it worked out beautifully.
It did. It's amazing. And just looking behind you, you actually have 2 of your quilts with the canvas version and then the real quilt. Yes, that's perfect. Just gives us an idea of the different sizes. That's fabulous. You can come back now. Thank you.
Okay.
There you are. Now, you've got connection with the Allegre Retreat.
Yes. Allegre Retreat started, oh my gosh, maybe 25, 30 years ago when my husband and I first moved from Southern California to Santa Fe, New Mexico. And I started the Allegre Retreat as a art quilt escape or place to come learn, and hung a big quilt show and did it there for 14 years. And then I said, I'm done. The building was being remodeled that I did it in, and it was just too much work. And one of my students, Maureen Hendricks, came for 13 of the 14 years and was so upset when I quit, said I was going to stop. And she says, well, when I build my resort, will you come teach it for me there? And I'm like, yeah, right. When you build your resort, I'll be right there. Well, 3 years later, John Hendricks started the Discovery Channel, and his wife Maureen is a quilter, and they built this beautiful resort. And now I run my retreat up there for Maureen at Gateway Canyons Resort. And once a year in April, although we had to cancel this year, everything's been canceled this year, but April 2021, we'll be back with guns blazing, ready to do everything we've missed out for in this whole year. But it's a fun retreat for art quilters.
And I know that Maureen is a great supporter of SAQA, Studio Art Quilt Associates. Yes. And I know that you are a former president, the second president after our lovely founder, Yvonne Porcella. You and I are both ex-presidents. So
yes.
We have a strong connection with SAQA. And SAQA has a benefit auction every year in September. And Maureen bought hundreds, I feel like, of the 12-inch square auction pieces and has decorated a lot of the retreat area with those quilts.
Yes, the resort has a lot of quilts, these 12-inch blocks. She's had them all beautifully framed. They're hanging in all of the guest rooms. I have a couple of huge quilts, one hanging over the ballroom and one in the entry. There's quilts by Nancy Crow, Judy Warren Bladen, Hollis Chatelaine has one there. So she just decorates with quilts. It's a beautiful place.
You have also online classes through iQuilt, and I will put all the details in the information section of this video, and all of Katie's links as well. I would like to thank you so much for giving me this insight into your work. I feel very, very honored that I've been able to look into your wet studio and your dry studio and had wonderful close-ups of your work.
Thank you for having me. It was fun talking to you so far away, so close, so far away.
I know.
And hope to see you in person soon.
I hope so. So thank you everybody for watching the video. If you've enjoyed it, which I hope you have, please click on the subscribe button below. Make sure that you also do the thumbs up, because that shows that you like it. If you have any comments, please leave them below. Thanks, Katie. And if you have any suggestions for other quilters that you would like me to talk to, because I'm really fortunate that I can just sit and chat and learn heaps, and I hope you have too. So thanks everybody, and bye for now.